To understand Thrawn's unprecedented success on the battlefield, we must first define the core philosophy that guides every single decision he makes, every campaign he launches, every enemy he defeats. That philosophy is simple and radical. Art is the ultimate diagnostic tool for military and political intelligence. This is not a secondary part of Thrawn's strategy, not a supplementary tool that he uses alongside more traditional forms of intelligence gathering. It is the very foundation of his approach to warfare, the lens through which he views every conflict, every culture, every opponent he has ever faced. Where other commanders see war as a clash of armies, of fleets, of firepower, Thrawn sees war as a clash of cultures, of values, of worldviews. And he believes that the purest, most unfiltered expression of a culture's worldview, its values, its strengths, and its fatal weaknesses, is always found in its art. To defeat an enemy, you must first understand them. And to understand them, you must first understand their art. This is the core of Thrawn's philosophy, the canvas upon which he paints every single one of his victories. This philosophy is directly rooted in Thrawn's most iconic, most quoted line of dialogue, a line that appears in almost every single one of his canonical appearances, and that sums up his entire approach to life and warfare. To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, their philosophy, their art. This line is not just a throwaway piece of dialogue. It is a mission statement, a declaration of intent, a complete rejection of the traditional military doctrine that has defined warfare in the Star Wars galaxy for thousands of years. For the vast majority of military commanders in the Star Wars universe, from the Clone Wars generals of the Galactic Republic to the Imperial admirals of the Empire, to the rebel leaders fighting against tyranny, the first step in planning any campaign is to gather intelligence on the enemy's military capabilities. How many troops do they have? How many Star Destroyers are in their fleet? What is the firepower of their weapons? Where are their bases located? What are their supply lines? What are their standard battle tactics? These are the data points that every other commander fixates on, the numbers and statistics that they believe will determine the outcome of the war. Thrawn does not ignore these data points. He does not dismiss the importance of knowing an enemy's military strength or their tactical playbook, but he believes that these surface-level details are only a small part of the picture. They tell you what an enemy can do. They do not tell you what they will do. They do not tell you why they fight, what they value, what they fear, what lines they will never cross, what blind spots they will never see. And for Thrawn, those are the details that win wars. We can see the stark contrast between Thrawn's approach and the traditional data-driven scouting of the Galactic Empire. In his very first canonical appearance in Star Wars, Rebels Season 3, Episode 1 steps into shadow. When Thrawn arrives on Lothal to take command of the Imperial campaign against the rebels, he is met by Governor Arihinda Price, the Imperial leader of the Lothal sector, and Admiral Constantine, the Imperial Navy officer who has been leading the fight against the Ghost Crew for months. Price and Constantine have spent their time gathering every piece of traditional military intelligence they can on the rebels. They know the size of their small fleet, the number of fighters they have, the identities of the crew members, the locations of their past bases, the tactics they have used in previous attacks. They have pages and pages of data, of reports, of statistics, all the things that the Imperial military teaches its officers to prioritize. And yet, they have been completely unable to stop the rebels. Every time they launch an operation to capture the Ghost Crew, the rebels escape. Every time they set a trap, the rebels outmaneuver it. Every time they think they have the rebels cornered, the rebels slip through their fingers and strike another blow against the Empire. They have all the data in the world, but they have no understanding of who the rebels are, what drives them, why they fight. So they keep failing. Thrawn immediately sees the flaw in their approach. When Price and Constantine present him with their piles of data and reports, he barely glances at them. Instead, he turns his attention to a piece of Sabine Wren's art, a mural of the Lothal countryside that has been recovered from a rebel safe house. Price dismisses the mural as nothing more than rebel propaganda, a trivial piece of vandalism that has no military value. Thrawn sees it very differently. He studies the mural for hours, examining every brushstroke, every color choice, every detail of the composition. And from that single piece of art, He learns more about the rebels than Price and Constantine have learned in months of traditional intelligence gathering. He sees that Sabine has painted the people of Lothal at the center of the mural, with the Ghost Crew and their starfighters in the background, supporting them rather than leading them. From this, he deduces that the rebels are not fighting for power or for glory or to overthrow the Empire for their own gain. They are fighting for the people of Lothal. Their core mission, their highest priority, is protecting the citizens of the planet from Imperial oppression. This is a critical piece of intelligence that Price and Constantine never picked up on, even after months of fighting the rebels. They saw the rebels as terrorists, as criminals, as a nuisance to be eliminated. Thrawn sees them for what they really are, protectors of the Lothal people, bound to the planet and its citizens by a deep sense of loyalty and duty. And with that single insight, he knows exactly how to defeat them. This is the critical difference between traditional data-driven scouting and Thrawn's focus on the subconscious biases embedded in creative expression. Traditional intelligence gathering tells you what an enemy has done in the past and what they are capable of doing in the future. But it cannot tell you what they will choose to do when faced with an unexpected situation. It cannot tell you how they will react when their back is against the wall. It cannot tell you what they value more than victory, what they will sacrifice everything to protect, because those choices are not driven by data or tactics or military strength. They are driven by the subconscious biases, the core values, the deeply held beliefs that define a person, a group, a culture. And those things are never written down in a military report or listed in a fleet manifest or detailed in a tactical playbook. But they are always present in art, because art is not a conscious, calculated expression of military strength. It is a subconscious, unfiltered expression of the soul. When an artist creates a piece of art, they do not just paint a picture or sculpt a statue or write a song. They reveal their deepest values, their greatest fears, their most cherished beliefs, their blind spots, their biases, all without even realizing it. And Thrawn has trained his mind to see those things, to decode them, to turn them into tactical advantages that no amount of traditional intelligence can provide. This is not just a fictional concept created for the Star Wars universe. It is rooted in real-world anthropological and psychological science. For decades, anthropologists have studied the art of ancient and modern cultures to understand their values, their social structures, their views of the world, even when there are no written records to explain them. Archaeologists can look at the cave paintings of prehistoric humans and learn about their hunting practices, their spiritual beliefs, their social hierarchies, all from the images they painted on the walls of their caves. Art historians can look at the art of the Roman Empire and track the rise and fall of imperial power, the shifting values of Roman society, the growing tensions that would eventually lead to the empire's collapse, all from the sculptures, paintings, and mosaics created during that time. Military intelligence agencies around the world have long used the study of a culture's art, media, and creative expression to gain insights into their strategic intentions, their national values, their potential tactical weaknesses, long before a conflict ever begins. Sun Tzu wrote about the importance of understanding the enemy's culture and values over 2,000 years ago. Karl von Clausewitz, the Prussian military theorist whose work on war has shaped modern military strategy for centuries, wrote that war is not just an extension of policy, but a social act, deeply rooted in the culture and character of the people fighting it. Thrawn's philosophy is the perfect distillation of these ancient and modern theories of warfare, elevated into a precise, scientific system that he applies to every conflict he enters. Thrawn's core philosophy also rejects the idea that military intelligence is only about finding the enemy's physical weaknesses. Most Imperial commanders believe that the only way to defeat an enemy is to destroy their military capabilities, to blow up their ships, to kill their soldiers, to eliminate their bases. Thrawn understands that the most dangerous vulnerabilities are not physical. They are psychological. They are the subconscious biases, the core values, the emotional triggers that drive an enemy's decisions. If you can understand those things, you can predict every move an enemy will make before they even make it. You can set traps that they will walk right into because you know exactly how they will react to any given situation. You can force them into positions where they have no choice but to make the exact mistake you want them to make. And you can do all of this without ever firing a shot, without ever risking your own troops or resources. This is the power of Thrawn's approach. He does not just fight the enemy's army. He fights their mind. He fights their culture. He fights their very identity, and he does it all by studying their art. We see this philosophy in action again and again throughout Thrawn's canonical appearances, in ways that perfectly illustrate the contrast between his approach and the traditional military doctrine of the Empire. In the 2018 canonical novel Thrawn, Alliances, written by Timothy Zahn, Thrawn is paired with Darth Vader on a mission to the unknown regions of the galaxy to investigate a mysterious force that is destroying Imperial outposts. Vader is the embodiment of the Empire's firepower first philosophy. He is a Sith Lord with unparalleled power in the Force, a warrior who has never met a problem he cannot solve with his lightsaber or the crushing grip of the dark side. He believes that the only way to defeat an enemy is to destroy them completely, to overwhelm them with superior power, to leave no survivors. Thrawn takes a completely different approach. When they arrive in the unknown regions, they discover that the threat they are facing is the Grisk, a hostile alien species that is conquering entire star systems in the unknown regions and preparing to invade the main galaxy. Vader's first instinct is to launch a full-scale assault on the Grisk fleet to destroy their ships, kill their soldiers, and eliminate the threat with overwhelming firepower. Thrawn stops him. Instead of attacking, he spends his time studying the Grisk's art, their cultural artifacts, their social structures, all of which he finds on the abandoned Imperial outposts that the Grisk have attacked. From the Grisk's art and cultural artifacts, Thrawn learns that the species is organized into a strict hierarchical clan system, that every Grisk is completely loyal to their clan leader, that they value the survival of their clan above all else, even their own lives. He learns that the Grisk do not fight for glory, or for power, or for territory. They fight to ensure the survival of their clan, to find a new home for their people, who are fleeing a cataclysm in their home region of the galaxy. He learns that the Grisk have a deep cultural aversion to fighting on multiple fronts, that they will always prioritize protecting their clan's leadership and their civilian population over winning a battle. All of these insights come not from interrogating prisoners or studying the Grisk's military tactics or scanning their fleet's capabilities. They come from studying the Grisk's art, their cultural artifacts, the way they structure their living spaces, the symbols they use to represent their clans. And with these insights, Thrawn is able to defeat the Grisk threat without a full-scale battle, without losing a single Imperial soldier, without wasting any of the Empire's resources. He does not blow up the Grisk fleet. He does not kill their soldiers. He uses his knowledge of their culture, their values, their hierarchy, to force them into a position where they have no choice but to retreat, to abandon their invasion plans, and to leave the galaxy entirely. He wins the war, not with firepower, but with understanding, with the knowledge he gained from studying their art. Darth Vader is shocked by this approach. He cannot understand how Thrawn can defeat an enemy without destroying them, without fighting them, without using overwhelming force. But Thrawn understands something that Vader never will. Victory is not about how many enemies you kill or how many ships you destroy. It is about achieving your strategic objective with minimal cost, minimal loss, minimal risk. And the best way to do that is to understand your enemy so completely that you can make them surrender without ever firing a shot. This is the core of Thrawn's philosophy. Art is the ultimate diagnostic tool for military and political intelligence because it gives you the understanding you need to win the war before it even begins. Another critical part of Thrawn's core philosophy is his belief that aesthetic choices reveal a species' blind spots and psychological boundaries long before a shot is fired. This is the part of his system that makes him so terrifying to his enemies. He does not just learn about their past behavior or their current capabilities. He can predict their future behavior, their reactions to any situation, their breaking points, all from the aesthetic choices they make in their creative expression. He can see the blind spots that the enemy themselves do not even know they have, the psychological boundaries that they will never cross, the lines that they will never break, even if it means certain defeat. And he can use those blind spots and boundaries against them in ways that they can never see coming until it is too late. We see this perfectly in Star Wars Rebels, Season 3, Episode 5, Hera's Heroes. In this episode, the Ghost Crew launches a mission to steal a prototype Imperial tactical droid brain from an Imperial facility on Lothal to help the Rebel Alliance plan their attacks against the Empire. Thrawn knows that the rebels are planning to launch this mission, not because he has spies in the Rebel Alliance, not because he has intercepted their communications, but because he has studied Sabine Wren's art and he knows her psychological boundaries. He knows from her art that Sabine is a Mandalorian warrior with a deep reverence for her people's history and culture, that she has a personal vendetta against the Empire for using Mandalorian weapons against innocent people, that she will never pass up an opportunity to strike a blow against the Empire's weapons development program, especially when it involves Mandalorian technology. He knows that she will push the rest of the Ghost crew to launch this mission, even if it is risky, even if the odds are stacked against them. He knows exactly what they are going to do, long before they even make the decision to do it. So he sets a trap. He lets the rebels steal the droid brain, but he plants a tracking device inside it so that he can follow it back to the rebels' secret base. The rebels walk right into the trap, exactly as Thrawn predicted they would, because he understands their psychological boundaries, their core values, the things that will drive them to take risks, even when it is not the tactically sound decision. And he learns all of this from Sabine's art, from the aesthetic choices she makes in her creative expression, from the symbols and themes that she returns to again and again in her work. This is the power of Thrawn's core philosophy. He does not just react to his enemies' moves. He predicts them. He shapes them. He controls the entire flow of the conflict before it even begins, because he understands the enemy's soul, as expressed through their art, better than they understand it themselves. He can see their blind spots, their psychological boundaries, the things that will drive their decisions, long before they ever act on them. And this gives him an advantage that no amount of firepower, no size of fleet, no number of soldiers can ever match. Many Star Wars fans ask why Thrawn is so loyal to the Galactic Empire, a regime that is deeply xenophobic, that hates non-human species like the Chiss, that treats aliens as second-class citizens at best and slaves at worst. The answer lies in his core philosophy. Thrawn does not serve the Empire because he believes in its ideology, or its tyranny, or its mission to dominate the galaxy. He serves the Empire because it gives him access to the resources he needs to study the art and culture of every species in the galaxy, to refine his system of warfare, to protect the Chiss ascendancy from the threats that are coming from the unknown regions. The Empire's vast reach, its control of the galaxy, its access to the art, history, and culture of every species under its rule, gives Thrawn the perfect laboratory to test and refine his philosophy. He does not care about the Empire's mission of domination. He cares about perfecting his system of warfare, about understanding every species in the galaxy, about preparing for the threats that are coming. And his art-based philosophy is the perfect tool for that mission, because it allows him to understand any species, any culture, any enemy, no matter how different they are from him, no matter how little is known about them, simply by studying their art. In the end, Thrawn's core philosophy turns the entire concept of warfare on its head. For thousands of years, war has been defined by destruction, by firepower, by the ability to kill more of the enemy than they can kill of you. Thrawn redefines war as a science of understanding, of empathy, of seeing the soul of your enemy, and using that understanding to achieve victory without destruction. He does not fight wars to kill enemies. He fights wars to understand them, to decode them, to find the solution that ends the conflict with minimal loss of life, minimal waste of resources, maximum strategic gain, and the key to that understanding, that solution, is always found in art, in the brushstrokes of a painting, in the curve of a sculpture, in the rhythm of a psalm, in the creative expression of a culture's soul. This is the canvas of war, as Thrawn sees it. Not a battlefield of blood and fire, but a landscape of culture and creativity, where every piece of art is a clue, every aesthetic choice is a vulnerability, every creative expression is a map to victory. And Thrawn is the greatest cartographer the galaxy has ever known.